This Amp'd Throttle Booster with switch is for those of you that have a 2007 to 2018 JK that are looking for a way to make your Jeep feel a little bit peppier without going all in and actually tuning the vehicle. This is going to be a 1 out of 3 wrench installation, easy plug and play install, and we're going to show you how to do it in just a second. So a throttle sensitivity booster, throttle adjuster, whatever you want to call it, is really going to just do one thing. On your Jeep, you have a drive-by-wire system, which means that the pedal is not directly and physically connected to the throttle body. It's only connected to the throttle body through the ECU, the engine computer, and wires, electrical impulses. So from the factory, there's a little bit of a delay built into the pedal, and there's also a little bit of ramping up and ramping down that happens when you step on the pedal. You'll notice that if you just stomp on the pedal, the Jeep doesn't really just take off like that. It's still going to slowly accelerate, and that's what we're talking about. Something like this is designed to eliminate that delay or varying degrees of it depending on what setting you have it on, so it can make the Jeep feel a little bit peppier, which is really nice, especially if you have some maybe bigger tires on the Jeep, maybe you didn't re-gear your Jeep and you want a little bit of that peppy feeling back. Now, what's important to note is that this is not going to be a tuner. It's also not going to be a calibrator. It is a throttle booster. So a tuner can change things like timing, spark, fueling, all of those different things to actually provide more real horsepower and real torque to your vehicle. A calibrator is designed to calibrate the ECU so the Jeep knows what size tires you have on it, what gears you have on it, so that the shift points and all of that stuff is properly aligned and properly set up. This, again, is just going to change the sensitivity of the pedal. There are going to be a variety of different throttle boosters out there. Some are going to give you more adjustability and some are going to give you less. This one is going to give you 6 different driving modes, which is pretty standard. There are some out there like the Pedal Commander that's going to have additional settings, and then there's also a version of this that doesn't have this switch with it that is just 3 settings, off altogether, low and high. So if you're looking for more of a set it and forget it solution and you like the Amp'd brand, I would probably direct you to that one. Again, it's a little bit less expensive, only 3 settings including off. This is going to have 6 settings including off, and it has this button so that you can very easily reach down, press the button, and change the setting. The button has a couple of indicator lights on it to let you know what setting you're in. So the way this works is you have this harness over here, you unplug the wiring harness from your factory pedal, plug the factory wiring harness into one end, plug the other end of this harness back into your pedal, and now you have this connector here which plugs into the brains of this operation. Now, even though any adjustability is then going to be done by plugging your button into this end of the wiring harness and mounting that button, in the beginning you still do have to open up this box here and learn your factory throttle pedal to make sure everything works properly. But once you're done, you don't have to go back in there for making adjustments like you do with a version of this that doesn't have the button. Again, all of those adjustments are done through the button. This is a pretty nice kit. They give you this little aluminum bracket so you can mount this on the bottom of your dash if you don't want to drill a hole, but this button can also come out of here, and if you drill a hole you can pop this right into your dash. Most dashes are black. It'll really just disappear in there, but it does again have those indicator lights, this little momentary switch here that will tell you what setting you're in. It even comes with this little adhesive ring that goes around the outside of it that says throttle sensitivity. So it is a pretty nice kit as far as those little fit and finish touches that they built into this. So like I said, 6 different settings: off, low, medium, high, valet, and then extreme. And the extreme mode is going to be akin to what some other throttle booster brands would call a track mode, something like that, where they don't even recommend you use it on the street, especially if you're in a really high horsepower sports car, because you touch the pedal and you're going to be spinning tires. Again, a Jeep usually doesn't have that much power to do that anyway, but that's what that mode is going to be reserved for. The valet mode is going to be reserved for, of course, if the vehicle is being valeted, you don't want the valet to be able to rip around in your Jeep. You set that, it's going to limit the power, limit how much throttle can be applied to the vehicle. And then again, off, low, medium, high are the settings that you're going to be using when you are driving on the road, depending on what situation you're in and how much throttle response you want. So this kit here is going to come in at right around $350. That's including the button and the wiring harness that includes the button. You can also get this kit that's just going to be the brains of the operation and the wiring harness without the button. That's going to be about $50 less, and you can always get the button if you decide you want to add it, but then you have to do a little bit of wiring here, a little bit of depinning and repinning of this plug end in order to get everything to work. So in my opinion, if you think you're going to like the button, go ahead, purchase this one for $50 more, and you have those additional modes and all the adjustability at your fingertips. Like I said, very easy to get one of these things installed in your Jeep. Let me show you how.
Tools required for this install: 3/8 drive, 10mm socket, optional is an impact. Today we're going to be installing this Amp'd Throttle Booster with switch, so let's get started. I'm going to remove the door just to get the camera in here and just show you guys a little bit easier. So this is another step you don't have to do, but it will make it easier to see. We're going to take this panel off here. We're also going to take this cover off here. All right, so I have a 10mm socket. I'm just going to take these little bolts out. And this cover just lifts up and out. All right, guys, now we're in the pedal box. We're going to be taking this plug off the top of our throttle pedal. So we're just going to press that and lift up. Now we're going to get our jumper and we're going to attach what we just disconnected to this side, and then the red tabbed connection is going to go into our pedal. So let's do that now. First, we're going to connect our stock pedal to our jumper harness. And it'll look like that. Now we're going to put our amp end into our pedal. You push that red button down to lock it in place. All right, what we want to do now is find a good spot for our throttle controller to mount to our firewall. Now, Amp does include this awesome double-sided tape. We're going to put it on the back of our controller. We're going to find a nice spot to mount this on our firewall. If you don't want to use the double-sided tape, you can drill some holes, put some sheet metal screws or bolts through it. However, we like to return our vehicles to stock, so we're not going to be doing any drilling today. All right, let's stick this on there. The other side off, and then find a good spot on our firewall. All right, looking at the firewall, we're gonna go right underneath where the steering shaft goes through that bulkhead mount there. So we're just gonna stick it right there. Hold for a little bit to make sure that that double-sided tape sticks. All right, now we're gonna plug in the back of our throttle pedal. These two ridges go towards the back and the one goes towards the front. So let's plug this in now. All right, now we're gonna connect our switch up to our harness here. And I added a little double-sided tape here. There are holes, so you can physically mount this, but again, we like to keep our vehicle stock looking, so we are going to forego drilling any holes and just use double-sided tape. We're gonna stick it right here out of the way. And then our next step is to do a little cable management and make sure our wires are out of the way of our pedals and tucked up neatly, all right? And then we're gonna use some zip ties and zip tie this up to other wires, again, to keep it out of the way. All right, guys, so we're done installing our Amp'd Throttle Booster. It was that easy. And for all things Jeep, keep it here at ExtremeTerrain.com.